Well, howdy there, folks. James from politicalfriar.com coming to you again. Today, I want to talk about a big think, a big thought. And the big thought that has come to mind is the tail wagging the dog. Now, you've all heard this concept of Wag the Dog. It was a movie not too long ago where the idea was presented as a distraction, going to war to distract the public from the political problems. And that isn't the original meaning of the phrase. The original meaning of the phrase really is about a junior partner dictating to a senior partner. That is, the tail is wagging the dog instead of the dog wagging the tail. And that is something that occurred to me may be happening in the Middle East today, or at least an attempt may be happening in the Middle East today. It may be happening in Europe too. See, I was reminded of the 1956 Suez Crisis when I was thinking about Israel. What happened in 1956 is that Israel, Britain, and France invaded Egypt. They did it on purpose. They had a plan. The plan was to allow the British and the French to retake control of the Suez Canal from the Egyptians. And they went in and they were successful. Paratroopers dropped on the canal, and the Israeli army invaded Sinai, and everything went okay, except Egypt was a client of the Soviet Union, and the Americans didn't know. The Americans are the dog in this analogy, and the British and French and Israelis are the tail. And the British and French and the Israelis attempted to wag the dog. They attempted to wag America. They attempted to say, hey, we've done this thing where we've gone and attacked a Soviet client, and the Soviet Union's going to be pissed, but you have to protect us, and you have to defend us, and you have to support what we've done because you are against the Soviet Union. And Dwight Eisenhower, much to his credit, said, no, you're the tail. America's the dog. Get out. And the Israelis retreated, and the French retreated, and the British retreated, and it really was the end of imperialism. Over the next two-ish decades, the British and French empires disintegrated. And that's because the Americans wouldn't be wagged by their tail. Well, now we have another tail, maybe wagging, and that's Hamas. Hamas, if you hear the Iranians say it, and I'm not sure I believe this, but Hamas started this war without telling Iran. I don't buy it. I think Iran probably had something to do with it. But Hamas is going to continue the war and is going to escalate and is going to act independent of Iran. And Hamas is the tail in this situation. The question is whether Iran is going to be wagged. And if it is, what are the consequences? And what about those other big dogs that maybe see Iran as a tail? We will know that Iran is acceding to its junior partner Hamas's demands to help them over time because we can see that Iran's proxies, their axis of resistance, which is their own word. Iran has identified the axis of resistance as the Houthis, the Hezbollah, and Iran and Hamas. If the axis of resistance starts to escalate its attacks on Israel, we'll know that Hamas is wagging Iran. So, the Houthis today declared war on Israel and have started to launch more rockets, and that's pretty inconsequential because the Houthis are really far away. But it's a sign. It's a sign that maybe Iran is coming along. And Hezbollah continues to launch rockets into empty fields. These are symbolic strikes. There are no real danger in it. It is for public consumption. But it's increasing and it's worrying. And they're trying to get Israel to show restraint. I'm not sure. But if it continues to escalate, you may find a situation where Iran is drawn into a conflict that it actually isn't all that interested in. It's hard for me to believe that Iran wants a war with Israel because it would lose. It is also interesting that Hamas and Iran sent leaders to Russia, a bigger dog. And maybe Russia sees Iran as a tail. And if Iran starts wagging, what happens to Russia? Now, the idea is that this is an interconnected system. It's complex. And we will know that we have a problem if we start seeing escalations, because it's not that these countries necessarily want war or want a bigger conflict. It's the alternative that they might not be willing to do. See, it cost Eisenhower a lot to say to Britain and France, get out. It cost Hungary their chance of independence. 4 days later, the Soviet Union invaded Hungary. And yeah, the Soviet Union had occupied Hungary since 1945, but there was a popular revolt against the communist leadership in that country that happened immediately following Suez. And if the United States hadn't told France and Britain to get out, Soviets might not have got in. And now there's this complicated political calculus that's happening. So, eyes on Iran. Is it going to get wagged? Or is it going to tell its tail that it's got to take the punishment that's coming? I suspect the latter. I think that the Iranians are probably not suicidal. We'll see. Anyway, it's just my take. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments down below. Give this video a like. Please subscribe. Hit the notification button so you don't miss a future video. And I really appreciate it. Thanks.